Hello, how are you today? This is Matthew from LoveBudi, here to talk about a new topic. This is a LoveCast today. We do this weekly. I do this every Sunday. Pick a different topic every time. The topic this time has to do with personal responsibility, how love would precipitate our need, our knowledge, our awareness, and our ability to be personally responsible, not only for our own lives and how we impact others on a one-to-one basis, but also when we look at things in the world, when we look at the condition of the world. Because we can see systemically there are a lot of things that are not quite up to snuff, things that are not quite working well, a lot of holes, a lot of gaps in what the government is doing, is willing to do, is interested to do. I focus mostly on the United States because I know the United States quite well. Although I visited, been to, lived in about 50 countries at this point in my life, I know the U.S. the best. I know how things work there. And I know that a lot of times the government's motivation is not necessarily to empower us, to love us, to help us, to nurture the community. Otherwise, we'd have community centers all over the place, and we wouldn't be watching the government do things, protesting the things that the government's doing, fighting each other about that. We wouldn't have the divisions that we have. We wouldn't have for sure we wouldn't have the racial problems that we have, the racial fights. People would integrate, understand other races, other cultures better, and we'd be cooperating better if that was the intention of the government. Government has another agenda, and if you look at how the government spends its money, and you look at how they spend their time and their energy, the people that are in a position of power and leadership, you'd know that actually there's some gaps there, and there's some things that we can do as individuals. Now, speaking in a general way, most of us are not really doing anything at all to improve the world, to make the world a better place. If you think that sending off, $12 a month or $25 a month or whatever to some kid in Africa so he can buy school books or shoes or whatever is changing the world, it's nice, it's good for that kid. A lot of that money goes to the organization that's running the operation there. But throwing money, writing a check, is going under the illusion that money is the solution, and it's not. Money's not the solution at all. So when we look at any problem, look at your relationship. You have a relationship with your wife or your husband, and maybe you have a problem about how you're taking care of the kitchen, maybe how you're shopping, excuse me, something about your schedule, how you're managing your food, the nutrition in the home, things like that. Throwing money at it solve the problem. If you just write a check to your wife or to your husband or give them $100 or whatever, is that gonna? No, you need to sit down. You need to share what your objectives are, and you need to come from a foundation of love. You need to come from a foundation of empowerment, good intentions, honesty, the qualities that love has. And if you come to a situation with love, with an understanding of love, because it's kind of the great dissolver of problems. It's the great, it takes the knots out of things, and it takes the conflict out of things, and the stress and the struggle. It takes those out of any situation. When you come to the situation with love, you find a solution, because what you're doing is you're taking the energy that's fighting, that's confused, that's bouncing up against itself, and you're smoothing that out. So the conflict is going away. You're using communication with positive intention. It's not communication in itself. It's not positive intention in itself. Under that is love. These are ways of expressing the love. It's not a spray bottle that is doing the cleaning or that is giving the moisture. It's that water, but the spray bottle is a delivery system for that water. So how you share that love, there are delivery systems for sharing that love. When we look at it on a kind of a quasi-physics level, if we understand that love is the foundation, love is the center, love is the reference point, then we know, okay, we just need to apply love in different ways. So how do we do that? I'm sorry, that noise you hear is some messages. I don't know how to turn that off. I didn't think I'd be getting so many. It's a little distracting. I apologize. So when we look at applying love to our lives or love to any situation, don't be misled about what's going to help the world be a better place and what's not. You could ask the question, okay, where do I fit in? How does this apply to me? Personal responsibility for a better world, how do I fit into that? Well, first you need to know what love is. You need to love yourself, right? Once you love yourself, you understand this has to do with communicating with your heart, knowing what your calling is. And your calling can be anything you decide it to be. You know, the objective is not to find the meaning in life, but to give life meaning. And that comes from your own soul, your own heart. When you get to know yourself, your own unique interests, talents, abilities, joy, happiness, things you get excited about. Wow, do you love horse racing, or do you love playing with dogs, or do you love making sculptures, or do you love singing? Do you love doing accounting? Do you love legal matter? You know, whatever you love, whatever you get passionate about, this is the love inside of you. And this is not only your contribution to yourself, but it never works that way that it's only a contribution to yourself. Anything you're passionate about, anything you're excited about, that's your contribution to the world as well. Okay? So something you love to do, something you're really crazy about, something that turns you on, something that really brings your energy up, and it brings you out like you're soaring, like you're, you know, blooming like a flower, like you're just like, you just feel the power, you just feel the energy. That's your contribution, that right there, whatever that might be. It could be something that's, you know, doesn't feed the children, it's painting, but indirectly it could. As long as you want to help people, as long as you want to make the world a better place, it doesn't matter what your skill is. It could be carving miniature ships or putting ships in bottles or something like that. That seems like, well, how's it going to make the world a better place? Let me tell you, if it's passion, if you feel passionate about it, and you really enjoy it, you have a talent for it, or you have love for it, or you just enjoy doing it, it's fine. Don't be self-critical. Don't say you have to deal with the war. You have to deal with apartheid, whatever. You don't necessarily have to do that unless that's your passion, unless that's your calling. We automatically, when we feel a sense of responsibility for community, when we feel a sense of responsibility for other people, when we feel compassion in our hearts, we feel empathy for others. These are all expressions of love. These are all vehicles for this invisible, all-powerful force we call love. Each of these are kind of vehicles, ways, expressions of love. We've got 71 of them right now. Look at the notes that accompany this video and see if there's some information there that's helpful to you. Most of it's free. Okay, so where do I fit in? That's how you fit in. You find your passion. Am I responsible? Yes, yes. We're all responsible for each other because we're a human family. Anything that happens to you, happens to me, happens to us all. What do they say? They have some saying, you know, sometimes you'll see on Facebook or somewhere, we are all Palestine because of what the Palestinians are going through. The torment, the torture, the tyranny that they have to cope with. Some people that are really advocates for what's going on in Palestine, they say, we are all Palestine, we're all Palestinians. So never feel that you can somehow get your house and put a gate around it and somehow, you know, if you've got a conscience, if you understand what love is, somehow you're going to be able to isolate yourself. Not possible, it can't be done. If you have compassion in your heart, you have caring, you're concerned about other people, you have empathy, you're automatically going to feel compassion for people in certain situations. Now, some are going to touch you more directly. Some are going to resonate more with you, like, wow, you know, kids don't have school lunches in my neighborhood. You know, they're not getting good lunches, not getting good nutrition, and I know how to do that. I'm a nutritionist or whatever, right? I'm a cook, you know, whatever that might be. I want to help to provide, to work with that problem. Great. If all of us did that, which 99% of us really don't, we'll throw money at a problem, or we'll just say, hey, nothing I can do about that guy dying on the street, or that guy freezing on the bus bench. You know, nothing I can do about that. The government, once again, remember, the government's not capable or interested. If you look at the U.S. government, they've got other fish to fry. They're up to other things, and I don't support with the things that they're into. I don't support that at all. What I support is empowering people, nurturing people, building community, building strong individuals that feel really good about their lives. They're contributing to other people's lives too. So when we look at the government, we got to say, I'm not going to wait for them. I'm not going to try to use them. I'm not going to debate with them. I'm not going to argue with them. I'm not going to try to get them to do something for me. Maybe you do. Maybe you want to do that. Maybe that's your thing. It's not my thing. I find that if it's not getting done, I'm going to do it. I'm going to pick the most important thing that I feel responsible to do, and I'm going to focus on that. What about conspiracies? When people say, oh, it's the government's planning this and they're planning that and they're going to take away all of our guns or throw it. It doesn't really matter to me. 9/11, I've got my own opinion about what happened with the JFK's assassination or 9/11, but I don't see it as relevant. When you have love as your center, when you're focusing on the things that you're passionate about, you have compassion in your heart, doesn't really matter. Now, maybe conspiracy theories, maybe JFK, maybe you want to write a book about that. Maybe that's your passion, that specifically. Or 9/11, that's your passion specifically. And okay, that could be the case. In that case, okay, focus on it and do it. But I don't want to get caught up in these conspiracy theories and debate them and argue them. Maybe some are true, maybe some are not. It's not really relevant that much, and it can be a huge distraction, a huge waste of time arguing with somebody at the melting point of steel beams. Okay, what about my personal happiness? Absolutely. Remember now, if you understand what happiness is, if you understand what love is, if you love yourself, if you have compassion for yourself, if you know yourself, you communicate with your heart and you say, hey, how do you like this? How do you like that? And your heart says, eh. Or your heart says, yeah, man, totally into this. I want to build houses. I want to be a construction worker. Or like Jimmy Carter, you know, the U.S. president, the guy, I don't know how old he is. He's getting pretty old, and it's really sad to see, accept that someday he's going to be gone, because what a wonderful human being. He started Habitat for Humanity and building houses at his age, you know. What do other people do when they're working for the government? Maybe they do the opposite. They're not doing anything for humanity, that's for sure. So, when you find what you don't think Carter's happy? He's so happy. He loves what he's doing. He's expressing the passion in his heart. Nothing wrong with that. Happiness is not a limited commodity. There's no limit on the amount of happiness that you can enjoy yourself, that you can share with others. So you don't have to hoard happiness. You don't have to protect happiness. Because when you are in touch with your heart, when you're in touch with your passion, when you're expressing what you believe in, automatically going to be happy. You're going to have all the happiness you could ever want. We're a happiness machine because we have love in our hearts. We just need to understand what that love is, how to tap into that love, how to live a life full of love. And once we understand that, and that's what we do here. That's what I'm doing with LoveBudi. You know, I'm studying, I've been studying for years and years, and I am still studying and learning and sharing with others, learning from others, teaching others about how love works and how to have a life filled with love and how that builds your own passion, happiness, meaning automatically. Automatically, all these things come out of it because it's such a pure, absolutely balanced, absolutely whole, complete core. I mean, there's nothing more whole in this world. People talk about nutrition. Oh yeah, I gotta make sure I get all my amino acids, and I can't. You know, it was really hard to be a vegetarian or whatever, so I gotta make sure I have this and have that. No. Love is nothing like that. Love, that you'll never have that worry. When you focus on love as your center, as your core, you're automatically, the more you know love, the more you live love, the more you stay in the love zone, the more you learn how to build the love habit, you're automatically having a completely 100% holistic approach to life, because life is the expression of love. Okay, so when you're filled with love, you're filled with life. Life is love. Life is an expression of love. When you see a flower growing, when you see a corn stalk that's growing, that's an expression of love. It's the love that makes it grow. It's the love that protects it. It's the love that nourishes it. So focus on love. You're automatically going to have happiness. You're automatically going to have unlimited happiness that you can share, that you can enjoy yourself, you can share with others. It's going to make the world a better place automatically. So loving yourself gives love to the world because it doesn't work one way. It works both ways. In fact, it works in every direction. Last thing here to look at, what kind of person are you? So what kind of person are you? Do you know? Do you know what your true expression of love is? Do you know what your pure heart is about? Your soul? Your core? Is it static? No, it's not. It can change. One day or 1 year, 10 years, 20 years, you can be into one thing, and that could be the expression of you, and then you can switch to something else. Maybe you reached your goal, or maybe you burned out on that. Maybe you just, okay, I guess I'm done. It makes me think of that Forrest Gump scene, you know, where what is he doing? He's jogging around Earth, and he's got all these people following him around. And one day he just goes, I guess I'm done with that. And he went home. Now here's a guy who loves himself, right? He didn't know anything different. I mean, that's one of the funny, magical things about that movie that appealed to so many people. It just seemed like it was effortless for the guy. Life was effortless. He was just in touch with what his heart said. Maybe he didn't express himself eloquently. Maybe he didn't have what's called a high IQ, but he had an LQ. He had a love quotient. He knew how to love. He knew how to love himself. He knew how to love Jenny. You know? And what else do you need? So it's a beautiful expression. I mean, he was into ping pong, and he did ping pong, right? You know, this is one of the interesting, fascinating things about that movie is the expression of what you feel passionate about in your heart. That's what that guy did. That's what Forrest Gump did. And that was why he didn't fight himself. That was why he did contribute to others. And he didn't do it through kind of a, you know, he wasn't a martyr about it, but he showed love to the people around him. And he pursued the things that he loved. And that's all we ever need to do. It's not a complicated process. It doesn't take a lot of study. It doesn't take a lot of skill. But it does take the willingness to focus on love, understand love, trust in the love, because love is trusting. And one of the things, I've mentioned this before, that Einstein said is the biggest question you got to ask yourself, is the universe kind? In other words, do you believe in love or not? If you believe the universe is a hostile place, it's a hateful place, wow. That's the kind of life you're going to live. You're going to be full of hate. You're going to experience hate. You're going to find it wherever you go. And you're going to say, see what I said? Did you hear? Did you notice? You know, I knew it. More hate. That guy's out to get me. I knew it was going to fail. I knew that stock was going to crash. I knew we were going to lose our house. Whatever. I knew he was going to get in an accident. You know, anything negative, you always knew it was going to happen because that's what you plan on. That's your perspective on life. Or did you decide that the universe is good, the universe is kind? If the universe is kind, everything in your life becomes interpreted as a positive thing, as a good thing, as a beneficial thing, as something that all works towards a positive outcome. Because really there's a no-sum game here. You can't lose. You can't lose no matter what, because we're here to love. And when it comes to our personal responsibility for a better world, the more we love ourselves, the more we understand love, the more we're going to be contributing in whatever the way that is. There's no self-righteousness here. There's no, oh, I contribute more than you do. Or I'm not contributing, I'm a bad guy because I'm not sending money to someone in some impoverished nation that needs a new toilet. Okay, So look at the notes here, look at the comments, and see if there's any information here that resonates with you, that's any help to you. Thanks so much for listening. Nothing else to say for right now. Yeah, normally I'm just a little bit surprised because I normally go a lot longer. But today it looks like we're just at about 20 minutes. Sometimes I'll go 40. I've gone an hour before. Sometimes I go 40 minutes, 35 minutes. But I think I've shared what I wanted to share, and that is, how does personal responsibility apply to each of us as individuals? And if we do understand this about love, if we do grow in the love, the world's going to change because there's going to be more of us acting through love. And this is an automatic, very smooth, very natural, very automatic, very wonderful, beautiful process. That's it for today. Thanks so much. I hope your life is filled with love. Hope you're having a wonderful day. I love you. Until next time, I'll say bye-bye for now.